In a world where almost everything is just a click away from being public knowledge, what if I told you that the most empowering thing you could do is keep a secret? Not just any secret, but the personal milestones, the quiet victories that are yours and yours alone. We often forget that before the digital age, privacy was a cherished treasure. Stoicism teaches us the value of the inner self, the part of us that doesn't need applause to thrive. It's about understanding that some of the most significant battles we face are fought in the silence of our minds, and not every one of those needs to be a headline in our social feeds. As we dive into today's discussion, think about the last time you chose not to share something on social media. How did it feel? Liberating? A little rebellious, maybe? That's because you exercised a choice that goes against the grain of our share-everything culture. You tapped into a Stoic principle that's about as old as philosophy itself, the notion that not everything we do or think needs validation from the outside world. Now, if you appreciate what we're exploring here, a simple, free favor you can do is hit the subscribe button. Today, we're going to unpack why choosing what to share and what to keep to ourselves isn't just an act of privacy, it's an act of power. By the end of our talk, you might just see your quiet, unshared moments as the gold they truly are. So, let's get into it. Understanding values. When we talk about our personal values, we're diving into some of the most intimate aspects of who we are. These aren't just the standards we hold for our actions, they're the core beliefs that dictate every decision, every reaction, and how we perceive the world around us. Now, consider for a moment how values guide us through the chaos of everyday life. Stoicism teaches that it's not the events themselves, but our responses to them that shape our lives. Our values are our chosen responses, the paths we tread, even when storms rage. They anchor us, giving us resilience against what we can't control. For example, if one of your core values is integrity, this will influence how you react when faced with a challenging decision at work or in personal relationships. It becomes your inner compass, ensuring that no matter the external pressures, you remain true to your course. But how do we identify these core values? It's one thing to list desirable qualities like courage, honesty, or loyalty, but understanding what truly resonates with our deepest self requires introspection and honesty. This is where Stoic exercises can be incredibly beneficial. They encourage us to reflect on our daily experiences and evaluate our reactions. Did I act out of fear or with courage? Was I honest, even when it was difficult? These reflections help us see not just who we are, but who we aspire to be, allowing us to align our actions with our true nature. Stoicism doesn't just stop at knowing your values. It pushes for consistency between your values and your actions. This alignment is crucial because it's easy to claim a value. It's much harder to live it out, especially when tested. Stoics propose exercises like the evening reflection, where you review your day's actions and assess whether they were in line with your values. This practice doesn't just reinforce good behaviors, it also helps root out the inconsistencies, giving us a chance to course correct. Now, living in alignment with your values is undoubtedly rewarding, but it's not without its challenges. The modern world constantly bombards us with messages that can cloud our judgment or lead us astray. Social media, peer pressure, and even advertising can subtly shift our focus from our values to more superficial metrics of success, like wealth, fame, or physical appearance. Stoicism teaches us to recognize these external influences and separate them from our internal dialogue, which is essential in maintaining our path and not getting lost in others' expectations. Why is this alignment so vital? Because it ultimately leads to a more fulfilling and peaceful life. When our actions don't match our values, we feel it deep down, a kind of moral dissonance that can lead to stress, unhappiness, and even depression. But when they do align, there's a profound sense of peace and satisfaction that comes from knowing you are living true to yourself, regardless of external circumstances. This journey towards understanding and living your values isn't just about personal satisfaction, though. It impacts everyone around you. When you live by your values consistently, you become a beacon for others. You inspire those who might still be searching for their path, and you offer a model of integrity and strength in a world that often values the opposite. Identifying your core values. Diving deep into what really makes us tick isn't just an exercise for philosophers or the introspective few. It's something that can benefit us all. Think about it like this. Identifying your core values is akin to mapping out the territory of your soul. It's about understanding the landscape of your inner world, which in turn shapes how you navigate the external world. And while it might sound like a hefty task, it's one that Stoicism, with its focus on self-awareness and wisdom, tackles head-on. Now, the process of figuring out these core values isn't about picking from a pre-made list. It's much more personal and profound than that. It involves a deep and honest look at what drives your decisions and actions at a fundamental level. What principles make you feel most alive? Which values, when you act on them, make you feel like you're being most true to yourself? These aren't questions that can be answered quickly. They require reflection, perhaps through journaling or meditation, both practices highly regarded in Stoic philosophy for their power to reveal our true natures. Stoicism teaches us that wisdom comes from within, from understanding our own virtues and how they connect to the universal virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. By identifying our core values, we're not just making a list. We're committing to a life that seeks to harmonize our actions with these virtues. For example, if you value honesty, then living truthfully in all your dealings is a way to practice the Stoic virtue of justice, aligning your personal values with a broader ethical framework. Furthermore, it's important to realize that our values can evolve. As we grow and experience more of life, what we hold important may shift. This is where Stoicism offers another valuable tool, the practice of constant re-evaluation. Stoics advocate for regular periods of reflection to reassess our values and ensure they still represent who we are and who we want to be. This isn't about inconsistency, it's about growth. As you face new challenges or learn from past experiences, your understanding of what matters most can deepen, leading to a more nuanced appreciation of your values. And let's talk about how these values play out in the real world. Identifying your core values has practical benefits that extend far beyond personal satisfaction. It affects your relationships, career choices, and even day-to-day decisions. When you know your core values, you can choose paths that align with your principles, leading to greater fulfillment and less regret. You'll be less likely to find yourself in situations that compromise your integrity or leave you feeling out of place. So, how can you start identifying these core values? Begin by considering times when you felt particularly fulfilled or right about a decision. What was driving that feeling? Was it a commitment to fairness, a desire to be creative, a need to challenge yourself, or perhaps a commitment to loyalty? Also, consider the opposite. Situations that made you deeply uncomfortable are just as telling. Often, they signal a violation of a core value. The importance of alignment. It might seem like a buzzword at times, but alignment, matching what we do with what we believe, is one of those pivotal ingredients in a life that feels genuinely fulfilling and authentic. When our actions and our values are in sync, There's a kind of harmony that permeates everything we do, from the way we interact with others to the personal goals we set and strive to achieve. In the realm of Stoicism, this alignment is not just recommended. It's considered essential to living a virtuous life, one that is consistent and true to one's self. So, why does this alignment matter so much? Think about the internal conflict that arises when we act in ways that contradict our core beliefs. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? There's a discord, a nagging sense of being out of step with ourselves. Stoicism teaches us that peace of mind comes from living a unified life, a life where our thoughts, actions, and values are all pulling in the same direction. The ancient Stoics believed that dissonance between these elements leads to turmoil within the soul, while alignment brings tranquility. Consider the Stoic idea of living according to nature, your own nature and the nature of the world. This means understanding who you are and what you stand for, and then acting in ways that are congruent with that understanding. When there is a clear line between your beliefs and your actions, decision-making becomes more straightforward, stress levels drop, and confidence grows because you are no longer at war with yourself. You're not pretending to be someone else or living by someone else's rules. You're being fundamentally true to your own values and principles. This alignment also impacts how we relate to others and navigate the world. When you live in alignment with your values, people know what you stand for. This transparency builds trust and respect, qualities that are crucial in both personal and professional relationships. It also makes you a stable and predictable partner, friend, or leader, not mercurial or inconsistent, but reliable and steadfast. Moreover, living in alignment attracts others with similar values, creating a support network of like-minded individuals who reinforce and share your commitment to certain principles. The process of achieving and maintaining alignment isn't always easy, particularly in a society that often values expediency over integrity. It requires a constant process of self-examination and adjustment, reminiscent of the Stoic practice of the evening review. At the end of each day, Stoics recommend reflecting on the actions of the day, asking yourself, did my actions today reflect my core values? Where did I fall short, and how can I improve tomorrow? This practice isn't about self-criticism, but about self-improvement and realigning our daily actions with our deeper values. Moreover, alignment offers a deeper sense of satisfaction with life. There's a profound joy and peace that comes from knowing you're living in a way that's true to your deepest beliefs. This isn't the fleeting happiness that comes from external achievements or the approval of others, but a durable, enduring contentment that sustains through life's ups and downs. It's the kind of happiness that Stoics aim for, a happiness based on virtue and self-consistency. In a broader sense, living with alignment helps us navigate life's challenges with greater resilience. When we face tough choices or adversity, being anchored in our values provides a guidepost for action that feels right, even when the right action is difficult. It enables us to act with courage and integrity because we're not just reacting to external circumstances, we're responding in a way that's consistent with our deepest self. Challenges to staying aligned. Sticking to your core values sounds straightforward when you're in a calm, controlled environment, right? But let's face it, life isn't a controlled environment. Life is unpredictable, messy, and full of temptations and pressures that can easily veer us off course. This is where the real challenge comes in, maintaining that alignment between what we believe and how we act when the world around us seems intent on testing those beliefs at every turn. One of the primary hurdles we face in staying aligned is the external pressure to conform, whether it's from our social circles, workplace, or society at large. There's often a strong push to fit in. This can mean adopting behaviors or making choices that don't match up with our internal compass. The Stoics were well aware of this challenge and emphasized the importance of fortitude and personal integrity in the face of societal norms. They advocated for a kind of moral courage, the courage to stand firm in your convictions, even when doing so might make you stand out or swim against the current. Another significant challenge is the complexity of modern life. We're bombarded with choices and information, and often the right path isn't clear-cut. It can be tough to discern which actions align with our values, especially when those values might conflict with each other or when the consequences of our choices are uncertain. Stoicism offers a tool here as well, the practice of reflection and contemplation. By taking the time to reflect on our decisions and their alignments with our values, we can navigate complex situations more effectively. This reflection also involves being honest with ourselves about our motives and the potential impacts of our actions, ensuring that our choices are not only intentional, but also informed. Additionally, there's the issue of short-term desires clashing with long-term values. In moments of weakness or stress, it's all too easy to give in to impulses that might lead us away from our principles. Here, the Stoic practice of self-discipline and control over one's passions comes into play. Stoics believe that by mastering our impulses, we can ensure that our actions remain in line with our deeper values, rather than being derailed by fleeting desires. Moreover, maintaining alignment requires continuous effort and vigilance. It's not a set it and forget it kind of deal. Our environments change, we evolve, and our understanding of our values can deepen over time. This dynamic nature of life means that staying aligned is an ongoing process of adjustment and realignment. It requires us to be perpetually mindful and proactive about our choices, a concept that is at the very heart of Stoic philosophy. Sometimes the challenge also comes from within, in the form of self-doubt or a lack of self-awareness. It's possible to be sincere in our intent to live according to our values, but misguided in our execution. This might be due to blind spots in our self-awareness or misunderstandings about what our values truly imply for our behavior. Stoicism encourages us to seek wisdom continually, not just about the world, but also about ourselves. This includes recognizing and confronting our limitations and biases, and being open to learning and growth. In facing these challenges, it's crucial not to be too hard on ourselves when we falter. The Stoic path isn't about achieving perfection, but striving towards becoming better versions of ourselves. Each challenge offers a new opportunity to strengthen our commitment to our values and to practice the virtues that Stoics hold dear: wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. Practical strategies for alignment. When it comes to keeping our actions in sync with our values, it's often easier said than done, right? Even with the best intentions, the hectic pace of daily life can sometimes scatter our focus. Luckily, there are some practical, down-to-earth strategies we can adopt to help ensure we stay on track. These methods aren't just about strict discipline, they're about making our values so integral to our daily routine that acting on them becomes second nature. First up, let's talk about setting clear, actionable goals that reflect our core values. It's like giving yourself a roadmap where each milestone is aligned with your deeper beliefs. Say one of your values is compassion. You might set a goal to volunteer a certain number of hours each month. This isn't just about doing good deeds, it's about embedding compassion into your life in a tangible way. Similarly, if integrity is a key value for you, your goals might include always being transparent in your communications at work, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Another powerful strategy is to create daily rituals that reinforce your values. The Stoics were big on routines that helped them embody their philosophy. For instance, you might start your day with a few minutes of reflection on what your values are and how you intend to demonstrate them throughout the day. This could be as simple as a morning meditation or journaling session where you set your intentions to be patient, frugal, or whatever else aligns with your values. Reflection is key here, and it's something the Stoics practiced diligently. They believed in the importance of examining one's actions at the end of each day to see if they lived up to their ideals. You can adopt this practice by taking time each evening to review your day. What did you do that was in line with your values? Where did you fall short, and how can you improve tomorrow? This isn't about beating yourself up over mistakes, but about acknowledging where you can do better. Accountability partners can also play a crucial role in maintaining alignment. Share your goals and how they relate to your values with a friend or a mentor who can help keep you honest. Just like a workout buddy can motivate you to hit the gym, an accountability partner can help keep your actions aligned with your values. They can offer a fresh perspective when you're facing challenges and celebrate with you when you successfully embody your values. Incorporating visual reminders of your values into your environment can also be incredibly effective. This could be as simple as posting quotes that resonate with your values around your workspace or home. Each time you see these reminders, they can serve as a prompt to act in ways that reflect your deepest beliefs. For instance, a Stoic might keep a symbol that represents tranquility, an essential aspect of Stoic calm, in their living space to continually remind them of their commitment to maintaining inner peace despite external chaos. Practicing mindfulness can enhance your ability to live according to your values. Mindfulness helps you become more aware of your thoughts and actions in the moment, allowing you to make choices that are more deliberate and aligned. When you're mindful, you're not operating on autopilot. Instead, you're fully present and making conscious decisions that reflect your values, which is a core aspect of Stoic living. Saying no with confidence. Learning to confidently say no is like developing a superpower in today's yes-centric world. It's not just about turning down invitations or requests. It's a profound act of self-respect and a crucial component of living a life aligned with your values. Think of it this way. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your core beliefs, you're actually saying yes to your own priorities, health and well-being. But saying no isn't always easy. We're often conditioned to avoid it for fear of seeming rude, unhelpful, or selfish. However, Stoicism offers a counter to this mindset by emphasizing the virtue of wisdom, knowing when different choices serve our higher goals. When you say no to demands that clash with your values, you're actually exercising practical wisdom. You're making a deliberate choice to honor your commitments to yourself and your vision of the good life. One effective strategy to say no with confidence is to be clear about your reasons, both to yourself and to others. When you understand and can articulate why something doesn't align with your values, it becomes much easier to communicate that decision assertively. For example, if you value personal growth and someone invites you to a project that you know will lead nowhere, explaining your focus on meaningful projects can help both you and the other party understand your refusal. Another key aspect is to practice assertiveness. Being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive. It's about being firm and straightforward in your communication. It's perfectly okay to say, "I appreciate your thinking of me, but I can't commit to this right now." Or, "This isn't right for me, but thank you for the offer." These responses show respect for both yourself and the person making the request, maintaining the relationship while still standing your ground. It's also important to normalize saying no for yourself. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Start with small things, like declining an extra responsibility at work when your plate is already full, or saying no to a social event when you need time to recharge. As you grow more accustomed to pushing back against smaller demands, you'll build the confidence to say no in more significant, higher-stakes situations. Moreover, remember that saying no can sometimes lead to feelings of guilt or worry about missing out. Here, Stoicism teaches us to focus on our inner state and not be troubled by external judgments or fears. Reflect on the tranquility and freedom that come from making decisions aligned with your personal philosophy, rather than decisions driven by anxiety or a desire for approval. Consider the long-term benefits of saying no. Each time you make a choice that aligns with your values, you reinforce your identity and integrity. This not only builds your confidence, but also strengthens your reputation as someone who is clear, reliable, and principled. Over time, people come to respect your choices and your willingness to stick to your beliefs, which in itself can reduce the pressure to conform. Thank you for joining me today on Stoic Journal. Remember, living a life aligned with your values isn't just about making choices. It's about making the right choices for the right reasons at the right times. It's about crafting a life that not only withstands the storms, but thrives because of them. So, keep building that resilience, keep living your truth, and let's continue to grow together. If you found today's discussion enriching, be sure to check out one of the suggested videos on the screen to delve deeper into the Stoic way of life. Thank you for being a part of this journey with Stoic Journal. Until next time, stay strong and stay stoic.